Hello everyone and welcome along to another rugby discussion for a big weekend of rugby coming up over the next couple of days. Of course, the Rugby Championship is technically winding up with its last two official matches of the tournament. But before we go into the big ones of this weekend, I'd like to make special mention right at the start of the Pacific Nations Cup. What a tournament that was this season, with the grand final going down between Fiji and Samoa on the 3rd of August, just a few days ago. The Fijians getting a massive win over the Samoans, really sending a bit of a shockwave through the expectancy of the Samoans and their dominance they should have received over that tournament. 39-29 the final score, a pile of tries as well coming in from the Fijians. What a tournament it was, though. Throughout the whole thing, there was tight matches, close matches, groundbreaking changes, wins like America beating Canada on Canadian soil for the first time since 2005 or so. Things like that are what makes this tournament a fantastic little thing. But looking at this table before we move on too much, not one team in the whole tournament won all three of their group matches, which, how amazing is that? There was a draw. Samoa, Fiji drew earlier on in the competition. That just makes for a fantastic game, that it was only Canada who did not win a match over the whole tournament. Japan, United States won one, Tonga with a couple, but there was close matches when you look through this for all the sides involved. United States almost beat the Samoans. Fiji and Samoa, of course, drew, like I mentioned before. Just 5 points between USA and Japan as well. Just close matches all around, which it was a fantastic little tournament that really went too much under the radar. But enough about that. A great tournament. Just thought I wanted to mention that straight off the bat for the islands and the American nations getting involved in the Pacific Nations Cup, which is really getting stronger and stronger as seasons go on. So if you're new to this segment on the channel, this is where I have my opinions about what I think is going to happen in this weekend's couple of big rugby games for the Rugby Championship. Of course, we have the All Blacks up against the Wallabies first up on Saturday night, New Zealand and Australian time. Then in the wee small hours of Sunday morning, it will be South Africa up against Argentina. The Springboks and the Pumas in what could be a close and interesting match, or it could be something quite nasty for the Argentinians, but we'll get to that second one in a minute. First off, we'll start with the Bledisloe, the decisive match, the one that will decide trophyware for this season's Rugby Championship and Bledisloe Cup. So New Zealand versus Australia. It's the old rivalry. How many times have these two sides met, and just matches that have had all sorts of action going around them. So this is the decider for those two competitions. The Rugby Championship's a big one. The two sides on 9 points going into this match this weekend, and this is the first Bledisloe Cup match of coach Michael Cheika for the Wallabies, which is going to be interesting. Something he hasn't obviously experienced yet. Is he up to the mark or not? We will find out in the telling days. So it's set at Stadium Australia in Sydney. It's going to be massive. There's going to be a huge crowd in there, but it's going to be a question of the top 2 inches for the Wallabies, whether they actually believe that they can beat the All Blacks. And we've seen some extremely close matches between the sides involved in the competition this year. It will be very easy to see South Africa 2-0 and already sewn up the Rugby Championship at this point if they could have conceded a couple less tries right at the death. But that's the Springboks. We'll talk about them in a minute. But the biggest talking point coming out of this match for me is going to be the back row, especially of the Wallabies, and in contrast how the All Blacks are going to counteract that. If you have been living under a rock, you may not know, but it is going to be Michael Hooper playing on the open side and David Pocock at number 8. Scott Fardy, an out-and-out 6, will be playing on the blind side. So, is this going to strengthen the Australians, or is it going to hinder them in other areas around the park? David Pocock, a very strong, very physical kind of player, still a very good stealer of the ball, a very good menace at the breakdown, as is Michael Hooper, who's a very fast, agile player. That is the same job, but they just complement each other, I think, in such different ways, being the different type of players they are, that they play so well together. So there's 7 and 8. Interesting that they've chosen of Pocock at 8. I think they might lose less than putting him at 6, for instance, and having an out-and-out 8 like Palu or something coming in there as well, or McCalman, Higginbotham kind of player as well. So that's going to be the big point for me, is the back row matchup, especially Pocock versus Kieran Reid. That's going to be the big one. Hooper versus McCaw, how many times have we seen that time and time again? But I think the Australians have been watching very closely and to what their Springbok counterparts have been doing in the back row as well, and have learned quite a lot, and probably trying to replicate the success that the Springboks have had. Whether they can do that, we will find out this weekend. I think it will go quite well for them, but I just don't know if that will be enough. The All Blacks may target other areas that they will find lapse due to having those two kind of players on the park at the same time. Other points of interest from the Australian team coming into this one is their second row. Dean Mumm and James Horwill playing it together. Now, Dean Mumm, if you've watched earlier segments like this, I'm a bit sceptical at what Dean Mumm can offer the Wallabies, although last weekend, or 2 weekends ago I should say, against Argentina, he was quite good. Scored that try, which the last part was absolutely outstanding, to carry all those Argentinians all the way to the line. The grounding was dubious. The pass before it was arguably forward as well, and I think there's a knock-on, a couple passes before that from the Wallabies, but they got the try, and Dean Mumm, his action in that try was exquisite, to say the least. So I was impressed by him last week, but that was Argentina. It'll be interesting to see if he can step up against the All Blacks coming in. Of course, partnering him will be James Horwill, he's had a torrid time recently for the Reds. His seasons have gone by without much success. The Wallabies, his time in the Wallabies has been on and off. He's been dropped and brought back, and he's been on the fringe. Now he's starting again. I think in a Wallabies jumper, he's played quite well this year as well, which is comforting for him to know that when he puts on the green and gold of Australia, his game does step up. As we know, a lot of good international players do exactly that. So I'm interested to see how that second row will go. Scott Seo starting on the loose head side of the front row as well will be interesting. I think he's definitely up to it. He's had a long apprenticeship with the Brumbies as well to get himself into this position. He'll be partnered alongside Moore and Kepu, a very good front row, I think, by Australian standards anyway. Scott Seo, I think, is a breed of a better kind of front rower. Nothing away from James Slipper, who's a very good player as well, but I think this is good from the Wallabies to bring in a player like Seo into the backs. I think most of this is unsurprising. The likes of Folau, Adamashi Cooper, Tavita Kurandrani, Matt Giteau will be at 12. He's back from injury. That really picks itself based on fitness. If they're fit to play, that's where they will start. It's the 9-10 positions that really I'm concerned for Australian rugby about. Phibbs and Foley. These two, their form has been dreadful on and off throughout the season. I don't know if they're international quality or not. Some days they are, some days they're dreadful. And I don't know if the Wallabies can afford to go into a World Cup with the great or the dreadful. It's going to be, it's a couple of Carlos Spencers out there. And a bad day for them could see them depart quite early on in the competition. Whereas if Foley does find his form, he is good enough. We've seen from him before how good he can be, and he can tear games apart single-handedly. Phibbs is clever, he's snappy, and he's sharp. But if he's at his best, his kicking, Foley in the Rugby Championship has been fairly average as well. Cooper, he's not really up to the top of his game either. Giteau is the best looking, but they're going to play him at 12. It's a chance here for Foley to build into some form, but he can't afford to play like he did against Argentina and miss a lot of opportunities from the tee. So the Wallabies, the only other position left is on the left wing, where they got Drew Mitchell, which I think is a fantastic selection choice. Drew Mitchell has looked so good since coming back from France. He's just looked strong and fast and is determined. He's looked so much of a better player than before when he left. So that's the Wallabies team. A lot of talking points, a lot to think about from that side as well going into this match. Now the All Blacks, this is the interesting part. Look at this team. Brilliant. I love this team. This is what I've been waiting all season, especially in the backs, especially the back three. So we may as well just start there straight off the bat. This is what I've been waiting to see. Ben Smith at fullback. Number one, bang. That's what I wanted to see. Israel Dag, I think, has cooked his little goose. And if the All Blacks win here in this match this weekend, I think he will get another chance, Israel Dag, against Australia in the return Bledisloe match next weekend. But that, if he does not show up then, I think that could be the real nail in his coffin. A lot of that will come down to the new man making his debut as well. Will be Nehem on a scudder. How good was he during Super Rugby? He was brilliant, fantastic, outstanding. Give him all the plaudits you like. He was just that good. He's been under a bit of an injury cloud over the last few weeks, so that is why we haven't seen him until now. He's starting on the right wing, and if he performs as well, and Dag doesn't see any more time in an All Black jumper, you know, that is only good things in my opinion to see Ben Smith staying in the number 15 jumper. It's such a white-hot atmosphere for Milner Scudder to make his debut. If he can perform, you know, I'm confident he's going to do the goods here and could be a long-term option on the wing for the All Blacks, having another fullback turned winger on the wing as well, with the likes of Corey Jane and that out injured. The All Blacks are pretty short on wingers, I think, and they're going to, a couple of them could go down, could really test the strength and depth of wingers in New Zealand rugby. I don't think there's too many up to international level. In the centre pairing, another interesting one with Sonny Bill Williams at 12, Conrad Smith at 13. You know, these guys have been there, done that before. Sonny Bill's a good player. He just needs to get more games, find his form, which he did start to discover in the last few matches as well. So I'm confident Sonny Bill's going to come good. Julian Savia is back on the left wing, and we all know what Julian Savia does. You can't complain about having him. That's a good backline. I think only Nonu in for Sonny Bill will be the only difference that would see that from a full-strength All Blacks backline with Daniel Carter and Aaron Smith at 10 and 9 respectively. Into the forwards, and there's not much surprise here with Reid and McCaw at 8 and 7. Jerome Kaino gets a chance at 6. You know, he's in a white-hot battle alongside Liam Messam. Sam Cane on the bench as well. They're calling this the way to combat having Australia with two open-siders. They think McCaw or Kaino could come off at some point. Sam Cane, fresh legs. He's very good. Michael Hooper, kind of player, fast and agile as well. The second row, we'll see Romano, Partner, Retallick, and again, two very good locks. We've got Whitelock on the bench as well. And it will be Woodcock, Coles and Franks, 1, 2, 3. Just about possibly the best front row the All Blacks can muster. It's a very good All Blacks team, and I think they've gone as good as full strength as they can go to try and secure the Bledisloe, secure the Rugby Championship, and then if they do that, they will try a lot of new things come that second Bledisloe match back in Eden Park. That is going to be the interesting one if they win here. I think there could be big changes. All that bench will be starting, and we could see a very different 15 from at least the All Blacks, possibly Australia as well. With everything been and lost, you know, what's there to lose for your last test match before the Rugby World Cup? Now, I think the All Blacks are going to win this. I think they're going to win it quite nicely as well. I'm picking by about 12 to 15 points they're going to do this one. Australia might start off competitive right at the start, but I think they're going to fall away later on, and just that lack of belief that they can beat the All Blacks so long it's been, you know, very few players have seen Australia with the Bledisloe Cup, and I think they will continue on for at least another year. So that is the All Blacks versus Australia. So match 2 of the weekend will see the South African Springboks up against the Argentinian Pumas. And this is a game that has nothing riding on it as far as the competition goes, but a lot riding on it as far as World Cup preparation goes. These two sides have a huge amount still to learn, and especially Argentina, I think they've, over the Rugby Championship, forgotten, you could say, maybe lost track of just where their top 15 is. They've had some players lose quite a bit of form, and they've started to get some question marks about who is really in and out of their top 15. So this game is going to be at Kings Park Stadium in Durban. That is just what a place for Argentina to have to go to. There's nothing on this game as far as Rugby Championship goes, but the World Cup preparation is what this one will be all about. Now, Argentina, 11 changes from what we seen them play against the Wallabies 2 weeks ago. 11 changes. Only one man has survived from the back line, and that is Imhoff. He is the only one, and he will start on the left wing. Outside and inside him, as everyone knew, Cabelli will start at 9. Juan Martín Hernandez, he starts at 10. Now, this is what I wanted to talk about. Juan Martín Hernandez, I said in the last few weeks, where I've gone over these matches and previewed and reviewed them, that I just felt Sanchez wasn't quite up to that level. He wasn't leading them around enough, and there was a lot of a press conference by the Argentinians as well. We've seen Agustín Creevy saying about how they threw away a lot of chance, a lot of time with the ball, just by lack of not knowing what to do, where to go, what plays to put in, and they did put Sanchez quite a bit under the boot. I think they've I agree with what they've said, but I think the way they've done it is a bit harsh on this young fly half who's a good player, but he needs to be made into a better player, with his team. They've put him under the bus a bit here, and I think it could be a bit detrimental for him heading into the future. But, he could be a very strong man, and this could only make him better. But Hernandez will start, and this is an area where I thought Argentina have lacked. Just that direction around the paddock, knowing what to play, when to play those plays as well, and just that direction. That's what they've lacked in the back line. Into the centres now for Argentina, and Estela Fonte will start at inside centre. Marcelo Bosch at outside centre. Aguja will be on the right wing, and Tukelet will be at fullback. Now, I'm a big fan of Tukelet. He is a great player, and he's going to own that number 15 jumper for Argentina for a long time, and I hope he does well as well in that jumper at the back for Argentina. So that is a whole, just about all new complete back line. A lot of players who missed the Wallabies game coming back. It's a good Argentinian team. They've got good depth building around. They just need to find their first 15 and really go with it with that as well. Into the forwards, there's been a few changes here as well. In the front row, Shapiro is coming in on the tight head side, so he'll partner Creevy at hooker, and Ihertza on the loose head side. That is for an injury as well, so that's why he has come in. Petty comes into the second row. He'll partner Lavanini, who's playing 4 and 5. Matera coming in on the blind side. Leguzamon coming in on the open side. And Senatore coming in at number 8. So this is a good back row for Argentina, which I'm keen to see how this back row goes, because essentially this is again two open side flankers playing together here for Argentina. Matera normally a 7, and so is Leguzamon, who can play, well, really he can play 6, 7 or 8. He's not an out and out 7. I don't feel like we see from what the Springboks have with like Kutsia and a Hooper or a McCaw or a Sam Cane kind of player, but it's technically it's 2 7s playing together, so a lot of sides are starting to follow the lead of the Springboks and pull in that 2 open side flankers through 6 and 7 or 8 even, as the Wallabies have shown. This is a good Argentinian team. A lot of these players coming back. I'm excited to see how Juan Martín Hernandez goes. I'm excited to see how De La Fonte inside centre goes as well. Tukelet at fullback. That back row of Matera, Leguzamon and Senatore will be interesting as well for Argentina. I'm hoping they don't get hammered. I'm really hoping they do not get thrashed by the Springboks. I really do hope that they can come good and show a bit of backbone heading into the World Cup. Get a bit of confidence going into that opening game against the All Blacks, where they can at least put up a good fight. I do not want this Argentinian side to just roll over into the biggest time of their careers. But up against them, you have to say it's tough times for Argentina, because the Springboks have one hell of a team. They could have wrapped up the Rugby Championship by now, as I said earlier. If they didn't concede late against Australia, and then they didn't concede that McCaw try against the All Blacks right at the end of the line-out, They could be 2-0 and they could be off to the bank. Rugby Championship winners, a game in hand, off to the World Cup with trophy in the cabinet. There would be so much confidence for the Springboks side, who are a good team. They just cannot close out a match, which is just so frustrating. But I think they're going to resolve that. They're going to definitely resolve that for the World Cup. I really do hope that come World Cup time, you will not get those thoughts that South Africa are going to throw away an opportunity. Big news coming into this game is that the great man, I'm a huge fan of this man. He's one of the characters, one of the people, let's say the people of world rugby, Jean de Villiers. This man is a legend. He's not done with rugby yet, but when he does, he is going to be renowned as one of the best players, just by his personality, his person, and as a player of world rugby. Jean de Villiers, I'm so happy to see him back. Sadly, it's had to move Jesse Kriel out to the right wing. I think he'll go all right there. He's a good runner of the ball. He's quick enough. He's not an out-and-out winger. I think it'll be like having 3 centres, and then you might see Willie Leroux come in like a winger. And the opportunities are there to play and mix things up with D'Alende as well for South Africa. But it's just a case of that's the best players in the Springboks side. You cannot drop Kriel, because he has been their best player over the Rugby Championship so far. You cannot drop him. He's scored tries, he's made breaks, he's been amazing in defence as well. But Jean de Villiers, what do you do? I think this is the only thing they can do. Put Kriel out to the wing, play D'Alende and de Villiers in the centres, and see how that goes for them for this match. Other changes, they've got Coetzee comes back in to the open side. That is coming off the back of a Francois Lowe injury. We also have Kosh coming in to the front row. He is starting on the tight head side, replacing Yanni du Plessis, again injured. How many injured players do the South African side have? I think we need to make up a Springboks Hospital 15, because there are so many players out. They could make up another whole squad of injured players. It's amazing to think that this whole team may not even, could not even be here had the injuries not all happened. That's how amazing this is. The key thing to this match again will be the Springboks back row. Brousseau, Coetzee and Schalkberger. Schalkberger is a best player in the world right now. I'll go out and say that. I think Aaron Smith was the best player in the world a couple of months ago, but we haven't seen too much from him. He's been pretty quiet in the All Blacks jumper, by his standards at least. Schalkberger has come out and absolutely exploded, and he is the best player in the world. If I was picking a dream team or something of the likes right now, Schalkberger, bang, first name on the list. Whatever position in the back row you want to play him, he is just that good. Imagine, what if they had Dane Vermeulen? What if Dane Vermeulen was fit? Where would he go? Where would he go on the Springboks side? That's just absolutely absurd. So much talent for South Africa. The injuries are the problem. So the Springboks side going into this match against Argentina, Mtowarira, du Plessis, that's Bismarck, du Plessis, and Vincent Koch will be the front row. 1, 2, 3, Ebenezer Beef and Diego will be the second row in the middle, and then it's Rousseau, Coetzee, Schalkberger, 6, 7, and 8. What a back row it is going to be. I'm looking forward to seeing Rousseau, Coetzee, and Berger up against Matera, Leguzamon, and Senatore. That's going to be big one for me from this match. Into the backs is Ruan Pienaar, who I've seen over the week in this portable gym, or whatever they call it, absolutely tearing it up, is Ruan Pienaar, which is great. The fitness, obviously, a thing that the Springboks are regarding as something they're lacking at the moment, so I hope that comes good for them heading into their World Cup year as well. Andrew Pollard will start at 10. He's just getting better and better. I'm a big fan of his as well. Can he continue his rise and keep like the likes of Patrick Lambie, who, let's be honest, I know a lot of you have said it in comments and on Twitter as well, that Patrick Lambie is not up to South African standards at the moment, and you don't know how he's there, and his performances off the bench have left a lot to be desired as well, but he's a good enough player. He's been around a while as well. He needs to pick his game up, because the Springboks are going to need him come World Cup time. Brian Habana will be on the left wing as always. Who else would go there? D'Alende, de Villiers in the centres. Krill on the right wing, and Billy LaRue at fullback for the Springboks. A good side. That back three, I'm interested to see how Krill's going to go on the wing. That's a big one from that. And I really want to see Jean de Villiers play the match as well. I'm so happy to see him back. And I can see they've adapted their bench as well to allow Involvo's on the bench, which means he'll come on for, I'll say de Villiers. They won't play de Villiers for the whole match. He'll come off after about an hour, 50 minutes. And Krill will go to centre, Involvo to the right wing. Bang, you've got a normal squad straight back into action again. So plenty of chances here for the Springboks players and Argentinian players as well. And New Zealand and Australia are set for a classic clash from Stadium Australia. And Kings Park is where the Springboks will face Argentina. So for my prediction, I think the Springboks are going to win this. And sadly, I think it might end up being by a few as well. I'll pick them by 18. But I do hope Argentina can make a match of this and get close. If they can get within 10, I'll be a happy man for Argentinian rugby. And South Africa, well, I hope to see plenty of good things from them as well, by the likes of de Villiers and Krill. Interested in that from the Springboks. So that is a little review, a little preview, I should say, into this weekend's rugby. Heaps of action coming your way. Now remember, this is just my opinion, so let me know what yours is as well in the comments below, or hit me up on Twitter as well. Always keen to have a chat for you guys on Twitter and in the comments section. So that is that, done and dusted. If you love these review series, give the video a thumbs up to show me that you like it. Subscribe if you're new around the channel, and I'll see you all next time for more rugby reviews, more rugby previews, rugby gaming, new rugby gaming, Rugby Challenge 3 information, all sorts of stuff coming your way. So stick around and stay tuned for all the goodness coming up in the future, and I'll see you next time. Until then, take care.